Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Mizuho Week Ahead. I'm Buding, market economist at Mizuho Bank. This week's theme is heating up. US presidential debate. We saw higher odds of Trump 2.0 alongside warnings from the IMF turned up the heat on US fiscal deficit late in the week. Specifically, longer end US yields were sent soaring higher at the end of last week. In a bear steepener, short-end 2-year yields edged up less on US disinflation and anchored inflation expectations from the Unit of Michigan survey. Caution on risk sentiments also implied that US equities made little headway last week. Meanwhile, it appears that inflation slashed headlines in many countries last week. In Canada, inflation in May accelerated to 2.9% year-on-year from 2.7% year-on-year in April, driven by a surge in services inflation from mobile services, travel, rent, as well as air transport. The ensuing pushback in rate cut expectations aided the Canadian dollar's ability to stay flat against the greenback and relative outperformance among most G10 peers. Not to be outdone, the Aussie gained on the back of Australia's May headline inflation print, which surged to 4.0% year-on-year from 3.6% year-on-year in April. Nonetheless, not all inflation measures printed higher. Inflation excluding volatile items moderated, and on a sequential month-on-month non-seasonally adjusted basis, goods inflation declined while services inflation was stable. For now, the inflation print alone may not move RBA's policy needle without follow-up prints of real economic resilience. As such, Aussie bulls looking for further rallies towards 67 cents will have to stay patient. For this week, we will look to the retail sales release in Australia and RBA Minutes in terms of sizing the odds for another rate hike. Asia was similarly not spared last week as inflation outturns stayed hot, with Singapore's core inflation staying sticky to back the case for a prolonged hold of the MAS's current Sing dollar NER appreciation stance. In the same vein, Malaysia's headline CPI rose 2.0% year-on-year in May from 1.8% year-on-year in April, which represents an elevated 0.3% NSA month-on-month increase, with price increases across a broad range of categories ranging from food, communications, recreation, housing, utilities to tourism-related services such as restaurants and hotels. The removal of diesel subsidies in June is likely to push inflation above 2% in the next print. In addition, inflation will remain in focus for EM Asia this week. Indonesia's inflation to date faced the risk of disappointing consensus expectations to moderate given the festivities and rice price rules. In Thailand, June CPI print is likely to moderate from 1.5% year-on-year but remain elevated to stay around 1.3%, staying within the BOT's 1 to 3% range, aiding the case for holding rates to lean against inflation upside from fiscal measures. In contrast, for Korea, continued moderation of headline inflation may be sufficient for the BOK to ponder policy normalization in 2024, and the Korean won may feel pressured relative to regional peers. All in, EM Asia may continue to face the heat from inflation this week, but yet central banks may not be as ready to turn hawkish. In turn, EM Asia currencies remain at risk, especially if US nonfarm payrolls at the end of the week continues to show robustness. For more information on these key central bank events this week, please refer to our Week Ahead publication or contact your respective sales desk and RMs. And for regular notification on our market views, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification button. Thank you.